Ever. Just be a
Would
good
that be
person.
nice? It would be nice. Dr.
Yeah.
Rob Davidson, please come back anytime. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. Please come back.
Happy to. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, and somebody pointed out in the chats that thank you very much. And somebody pointed out in the chats that when you walk into a doctor's office, why is the first thing people ask, do you have your insurance card and how are you paying for this? Like when you get healthcare in the United States, it's the first two questions you're asked. Do you have your insurance card and how are you paying for this? That's only here, not in other countries, just here. It's sick. All right, let's jump into the D block. Because there's always been to me something just a little weird about Donald Trump, just a little weird, particularly when it comes to his daughter, his youngest daughter. Well, she's not his youngest daughter, one of his daughters, Ivanka. Let's play D1.
Yet at times, his fatherly praise is downright cringeworthy, like on The View in 2006.
I said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick.
Far from protecting his daughter from being talked about as a sex object, he has encouraged it multiple times on Howard Stern's radio show in 2004 and then again in 2006.
By the way, your daughter,
She's beautiful.
can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous.
It's
She's tall.
unbelievable.
She's almost 6 feet tall.
In May, Ivanka described herself as a feminist while defending her father on CBS after a scathing New York Times article about his alleged negative treatment of women.
Is there unending commentary on the female form?
No. I've known my father obviously my whole life, and he has total respect for women.
Please welcome the lovely Ivanka Trump.
Still, even Ivanka seemed confused when talk show host Wendy Williams asked about things the two have in common.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Donald Trump has always been proud of his daughter.
I'd call collect to his office. I was probably, 10 years old. He would pick up the phone every single time, and he'd put me on speakerphone. It wouldn't be a long conversation. He'd introduce me to whoever was in his office.
And he was front row when Ivanka took to the catwalk during her short-lived career as a fashion model. Still, Donald Trump repeatedly points out how hot his daughter is, saying last year in a Rolling Stone article, "Yeah, she's really something, and what a beauty, that one. If I weren't happily married and, her father."
My daughter, Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body.
Yeah, she's hot.
Ivanka continues to defend her.
That's gross. Quesadilla 79 said he don't like the younger one. Firm but fair. That's gross. And by the way, when she was walking, starting at age 14, it was for John Casablancas, who owned a modeling agency, was a good friend of Trump's, who later it turned out was accused of messing with his models sexually. So that's weird, right? And, it's definitely weird. And this is D2, that Trump's spiritual advisor was arrested a few months ago for soliciting sex with a child. Let's play D2. This is him getting arrested. I'm going to read a little bit of the Guardian story while you watch that. The founder and pastor of one of the largest megachurches in the U.S., Robert Morris, has pleaded guilty to sexually abusing a 12-year-old girl in Oklahoma in the 1980s. Morris, 64, pleaded guilty on Thursday in Osage County District Court on 5 criminal counts of lewd and indecent acts with a child. He was sentenced to 10 years in custody, but as part of a plea deal will serve just 6 months in county jail, which is weird, right? Another man with Trump ties getting a really light sentence for preying on little girls. That's weird. And Trump himself, he does weird things. Let's play D3. It's just some weird things Trump does. He commented at one point on the penis size of a dead golfer. We're going to play here D3, which is, he just does weird stuff like this. He was kind of giving fellatio to a microphone. That's weird, right? And the crowd goes wild. And he's known like a lot of weird people in his life. Let's look at D4. This is a email between Jeffrey Epstein and a guy named Jean-Luc Brunel, who ran an agency called Karen Models back in the day, in the 90s. And he wound up, you can see in the email, he's emailing an article about Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein's hedonistic alliance. And a lot of people were emailing that article to Jeffrey Epstein, but Jean-Luc Brunel is one of them. Jean-Luc Brunel actually died in a very interesting way by hanging himself in prison in France after being accused of sexually preying on his models in his agency, which is weird. Very similar to the way Jeffrey Epstein died. And supposedly that was also a suicide, supposedly. Also weird, an email I want to show you all. This is D5, an email between Trump's other pedo friend, his other pedo friend besides Jean-Luc Brunel, who was, whatever, and Jeffrey Epstein, his friend Jeffrey Epstein, I should say, the other friend, Jeffrey Epstein, and his own brother, Mark Epstein. Now, this email, it might be the weirdest of them all. I'm gonna read it. It's gross. We're gonna leave it up on screen. Let me go ahead and find it here. Hold on. Aha, here it is. I'm gonna read it to you. It says, oh, excuse me. He calls him Donnie T. He says, hold on a second. It says, I'd rather be in Donnie D's shoes, to which Mark says, I'd rather be in Donnie D's shoes, to which Jeffrey Epstein says, you mean Donnie T. And then Mark Epstein says, you and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. And then there's a response again from Mark Epstein where he says, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. He starts by asking, Mark Epstein starts asking where he is, and Jeffrey Epstein says, all good, Bannon is with me. Mark is asking where his brother Jeffrey is. He says, all good, Bannon is with me, that being Steve Bannon. Now, Mark Epstein has given a statement saying that the Bubba in that really weird email is not Bill Clinton, although the memes are everywhere of people making fun of maybe Trump doing the old person in the nursing home dance for a different reason than what, we kind of thought it was. So that's also weird. Also, there's another email where Larry Summers, the former Harvard professor, speculates on whether the Russians have something on Trump. That's D6. Do they have something on Trump? And I'm thinking PP tape, maybe? I don't know. There's also another email in which there's speculation about how Trump, and this is D7, might have gotten away with something, that he got off easy when it came to the accusations that people had about sexual predation. And I'm going to read this one. It says, and this is an email from a guy named Thomas Landon Jr., who is a financial reporter for the New York Times, I believe. And he writes to Jeffrey Epstein back in 2016, the 16th of May, 2016. He wrote, I'm kind of shocked that our reporters at the Times did not contact you, Jeffrey Epstein, re the Trump/women's story. Seems to me he got off rather lightly. It's weird. And then, of course, there is the Larry Summers email in which Jeffrey Epstein says to Larry Summers, I have met, and this is the former Harvard president, I've met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. That was written on February 8, 2017, in which he also jokes about him as your man of the people. Very odd. Joining me now is somebody whose text or tweet we read the other day, Lev Parnas, who wrote the following: breaking, my sources say Trump went ballistic, blowing up phones and leaning on GOP allies to keep Democrats from hitting 218 for this discharge petition, aiming to block any move to release the Epstein files. Lev Parnas, welcome back.
Hey, Joy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Are your phones still blowing up now that Trump has said, go ahead and release the files, but only of the Democrats?
It's even more. I can't even tell you. This is such a game, such a show that's being put on right now, trying to really just. I mean, look. One of the things. This is a contingency plan that they've put into place that has, that's why he announced had Pam Bondi announced the investigation into Clinton's, and it's a way to stall because now they're going to try to come out and say, okay, release the Epstein files. The reason, one of the reasons why he came out flipped so quickly is because and his voice is hoarse today. A lot of people were saying that the White House tried to say that he was screaming at some country. Well, what my sources tell, it's because he's been on the phone for 72 hours screaming at congressmen and senators and going ballistic. And when he realized that tomorrow is going to be an avalanche, and what I'm hearing is, Joy, that we literally keep our fingers crossed, but we might even hit 290, which would be 2/3 of the House. When he started realizing it, he understood he needed to come out and really join the force, because otherwise it would be a rebellion against him. His next step was he called, his loyals in the Senate. What I'm hearing from some of my sources, he spoke to Thune, and Thune gave him basically told him that he would do whatever he could to not bring it to the floor. That gave Trump some hope. But right after that, he got another phone call. I mean, this was all day going back and forth. I can't even explain to you. He gets a call saying that there's word that there's about 12 Republicans in the Senate that are going to flip. So that's when he went completely ballistic. And that's why you saw today at the Oval where he's basically, I'll veto, I'll do whatever, because the contingency plan is Pam Bondi. It's to throw her under the bus, just like they did July 6th to stop the investigation. Now it's to open it, because now it's not, we don't hate Trump, because now he could come out and say, hey, release the files, but Pam, she's a great attorney general, but she could only do, there's an open investigation, and the plan is to leak certain stuff about the people like Larry Summers and others to try to take the focus away from him.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people in these emails. I mean, that he was, Noam Chomsky emailing back and forth with to Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, it is pretty wild, the kind of people who are actually emailing back and forth with them. But this email between Mark Epstein and Jeffrey Epstein about Trump blowing Bubba, and does Russia have that? Do you have any idea who Bubba is and what that is about?
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, because this is extremely important email, but not because of who Bubba is. And I don't have any clue who Bubba is, but because of something else in this email. In this email that's between Mark Epstein and his brother, Jeffrey and Mark Epstein. So they're not lying. They're not pretending. They're having a conversation. They're literally asking each other if Steve Bannon in 2018 given over compromise to Vladimir Putin on Donald Trump. Let's think about that for a second. Steve Bannon, that means, has been in touch with the Russians. So is Epstein the only one giving compromise to the Russians? So what I'm hearing from a lot of sources on overseas and over here, one of the real reasons Trump is extremely extremely worried about the Epstein file, besides the embarrassment about the stuff that's going on, besides protecting certain donors. What he's really going after is because what Bondi showed him is the compromise that they got not only from Epstein but from others, that there's a file that the Russians had on Trump, and it wasn't the P tape, like what everybody was talking about, but it was basically for maybe, and I'm working still on a lot of the stuff to that I could bring to light, but basically they've been watching him for the past 40 or some odd years, and around him, from giving him money, bailing him out, having people like Epstein operatives around him giving information. So when and that is one of the main reasons why you have Steve Witkoff and not like the Marco Rubios or the others dealing with Putin. Just think about it. Steve Witkoff met with Putin 6 times. These are not coincidences, Joy. Every time he met with him was every time Trump came out and said something against Putin, Witkoff was summoned to the Kremlin. Literally summoned to the Kremlin. If you go back and take a look at what I'm telling you, your eyes are going to flip out. You're going to call me back and say, holy Lev, I can't believe what that this is actually. But yeah, there's a major connection and about what they have. And also, he's also worried about Melania. because there's also, her past is definitely, has a lot to do with it. So there's a lot he's concerned. But the Russian angle and the fact that Steve Bannon in 2018, this is right before the Helsinki meeting, is in touch with Vladimir Putin. They're literally saying that he hand over the pictures to Putin. I mean, that's compromising stuff on the president of the United States. And it's Steve Bannon, who we know is an operative and a sleazy guy that will play every single side and deals with the Chinese and everybody else. So there's a lot more to this than just the sex, the nasty stuff. But the financial stuff and the world politics is a lot more scarier right now to Donald Trump.
I mean, it seemed to me that the trajectory, as I'm reading through these emails, is that at first Jeffrey Epstein seems to be trying to leverage his knowledge of Donald Trump to help himself, to help his business interests, to help his friends, to help people get jobs, all sorts of things. And then there's a point at which it turns, and he just becomes very anti-Trump. And to the point where now we know he was texting with Representative Plaskett of the USVI, which, of course, where Epstein Island was. It was in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And there's a lot of scandal associated with the way that the U.S. Virgin Islands allowed him to freely operate there and operate basically a sex island where they were abusing children, where he was abusing children. That's a whole nother scandal. But he's dealing with USVI people. But he's texting with her, but it's not about the sex stuff. It's about the money stuff that Cohen is testifying about.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the thing that Epstein may have thought he had on Trump was more financial than anything.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying to you. I think they have a lot of financial stuff on Donald Trump 100%, because most of all the time, if you take a look at the history of all his bailouts, usually came with a source that was connected to Russian money, either through the banks or through direct, Eric Trump himself one time came out and said, we don't need any American money. We have all the Russian money we need, by accident. You know what I'm saying to you? So the link was always there, and Epstein was a facilitator. The other thing is, don't forget, is right before his death, there was over $1 billion transactions that we're finding out that with Russian banks that were going back and forth. What was that all about? The other thing is very important that we need to take a look at is the one person that keeps scathing here is Bill Barr. Bill Barr was somebody that I know very well, somebody that was involved in my own prosecution and somebody that was involved in putting me not in prison to be able to get to the bottom of it, but to silence me. The same thing happened to Epstein. If you take a look at literally these emails you're seeing right now are in end of around 2018. Literally 6-7 months later, Epstein's arrested. We never get understanding what was, the indictment. You know what I'm saying to you? It was a lot of different things he was supposed to be indicted for, but then he, miraculously, disappeared. So there's a lot more to it. And the other crazy thing I'm hearing that I couldn't believe, because when people were saying he's going to pardon Maxwell, and knowing Trump, I didn't believe it. I thought, that's even something far for him. He's going to maybe transfer her somewhere and make her, but I got off a call and I'm hearing that he's literally considering unpardoning her because she got the goods on him. Don't forget, she's the one that leaked the stuff to the Wall Street Journal.
That's right.
She knows, and she's right now not a happy camper because the focus is on her. She understands something happens to her, she's done. She will be transferred quicker than you could see to maximum security. So her window of opportunity is also, and that whole thing you saw with Prince Andrew getting that. Also, don't forget about the relationship that Maxwell had with Andrew and the royal monarchy and everything. So there's so much to unfold here, Joy, that the one thing I could say, and that's why I wrote my letter, and I say to everybody out there, we got to do step by step. Right now, the number one thing we got to do is till tomorrow morning, keep making your phone calls, keep sending your emails, keep putting pressure on every congressman out there to make sure that tomorrow we come out and it's a massive unified vote to show, because that will rattle him even more. He's still hoping that it's going to come out, that there's going to be some support. So tomorrow's a big day. And then from there, next step, we move on to the Senate, but one day at a time. But I truly believe that eventually, and mark my words, the straw that breaks this whole thing apart is going to be Dan Bongino.
Tell me why.
Well, first of all, I actually
For
broke it
those who
on.
don't know, he's a former podcaster who's now deputy director of the FBI. Go on.
Correct. Me and Wajahid Ali actually spoke about this on the Left Hook several months ago. I broke the story. I told him that the meeting that Vance, Vice President Vance, was supposed to have, the dinner, it was not just about the Epstein stuff. It was also about trying to bring Dan Bongino back into the fold. Because if you take a look, Joy, and I'd like for you to, after we get done, have your people take a look at the records, and we'll come back and discuss it more. But since July 6th, when the Epstein, when they closed the file, Dan Bongino left work for 3 or 4 days. He came back. Trump had a conversation with him. Ever since then, Dan Bongino and Trump have not spoken. He has not been into the Oval. You have not seen him in any press conferences. He has not commented or came out on Fox or any show about Epstein at all. Now, this is a man that made his whole career about Epstein, his podcasts, everything about releasing the Epstein files. My sources have been telling me there, and I've already spoken to Congressman Rocana and others, and I've told them, I said, you need to put the pressure on Dan Bongino. That's one of the things that I'm telling everybody, the media and everybody, where is Dan Bongino? Let him respond. Where does he stand? He saw the files. He was part of the group, but he's the only one. Kash Patel spoke up about it. Pam Bondi spoke about it. The one person that has not come out and validated and stood up or said anything about it, bad, good, or indifferent, is Dan Bongino. And that's why what I'm hearing is that Dan Bongino is right now the loose straw that they are trying to, and he's also in a very scared position because he understands Trump's power and understands also his platform, which has a lot of financially, links him to all this Epstein stuff. So and I welcome you to also look into him. Maybe you could help me out, spread the word, and because I think the more pressure we put, have some reporters ask some questions, and have him come on the record and start making statements. I think you're going to start seeing even a major serious crack in there, because he's one of the people that saw all of those, the Epstein files.
That is fascinating. I want to really quickly play the reason that I think that that Trump can't get away from this. This is D10. This is the victims in this case who have made it very clear that they're not going anywhere. And they put out a really powerful video.
I suffered so much pain.
So much pain.
So much pain.
I suffered so much pain. I was 14 years old.
I was 16 years old.
I was 16.
17.
14 years old.
This is me.
This was me.
This is me. When I met Jeffrey Epstein.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
There are about 1,000 of us.
It's time to bring the secrets out of the shadows. It's time to shine a light into the darkness.
Lev, the reason this is so powerful is 5 administrations. They're right. I mean, this is not even a Democratic and Republican thing. These are young women. And I don't care if Megyn Kelly tries to explain it away and try to say that they weren't children, but you can see them on those pictures. They were kids. And this is why that Trump can't stop this, because that is the most powerful. They are the most powerful witnesses. They're the most powerful speakers on this.
Oh, Joy, you are so 100% right. And I could tell you Trump's biggest fear, I could tell every single one of you out there, is to sit down and face those victims. And that's one of the reasons why he went off on Marjorie Taylor Greene so badly, because she was pushing him to have them in the Oval. And that was the one thing that she was doing 100%, because I keep also saying that it's a simple thing, but we should be out there screaming every day. President Trump. These are your constituents, and some of them are not even Democrats. They're conservative, and they want to sit down with you and tell you what happened to them and put the pressure, because that is going to rattle him even more. You're going to see him stop taking questions, because he's right now rattled. He cannot face the victims, because then everything goes out the door. You know, all of the hoax and everything. So you're 100% right that he cannot get away from that.
Yeah, Lev Parnas, thank you very much. Come back often. As you get developments, please let me know. We want to have you back on, Alvin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And there you have it, everyone. I mean, you can't get away from the facts of these victims. And Jason, you don't even have to put these on screen. I just want to read just some very quickly of some of the things that were in these emails. In 2016, February 10, Thomas R. Landon Jr., high importance, says it's getting scary. Oh, the stories you could tell, says a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. You've got Trump's people saying that that he could take him down. It says here, Trump's handpicked, New York prosecutor has a search warrant for Trump's private lawyer. Trump has to be shitting water. I think I read that text earlier. The emails are damning. The emails, Bannon, all sending him these articles about the deplorables come into battle again to try to save Jeffrey Epstein's reputation. There's an email from Michael Wolff in February of 2016 in which he says, yeah, you're the Trump bullet. And then there's one more I'm going to read you. This is from Jeffrey Epstein to someone named Kathy Rummeler, who actually worked in the Obama administration. And he says that she calls it a kind of a horror movie that he could become president. I don't know how better to describe it. But he also says that Donald Trump knew that what he was doing was illegal, and they're not clear about what that is. But the bottom line being, Donald Trump has got to be scared, because the very people that he was friends with and trusted back in the day when he was hanging out with pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, they're out here. They're talking, they're speaking, and those victims are speaking the loudest of all. I'm going to play two quick videos before we end tonight, rather than do a moment of joy, because I think this is really important. First, let's start with actress Cynthia Nixon, who she had a really poignant response to Megyn Kelly's disgusting defense of Jeffrey Epstein. Here's actress
Megyn Kelly, I have a question for you from one mother to another. If Jeffrey Epstein were still alive, would you be comfortable with your teenage daughter being alone with him in his mansion, or alone with Donald Trump? I think if you're honest, you're going to say absolutely not. And please, don't say 15 is barely legal. It is 100% illegal. And you know that.
Even more poignant, though, in this horror story of two powerful men who were both predatory and vile in the way that they thought of women and girls. You heard how Donald Trump talked about his own daughter. You've seen the way he's treated people in the Miss Universe pageant, calling them fat, calling them ugly. You see what he did to E. Jean Carroll, literally grabbing her by her P word in a public place, in a department store dressing room. He has 26 individual accusers, including one 13-year-old at the time who accused him and Jeffrey Epstein of raping her at Jeffrey Epstein's house. I promised you I was going to read you some from that lawsuit, but I promise you I'll do that on Wednesday. It's horrific and it's gross. But essentially, she says that claimed in this lawsuit, which she then later withdrew as an adult, that she was raped at 13 years old at Jeffrey Epstein's home. And she named both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in that lawsuit, which again, she withdrew after saying she had threats. I was supposed to interview this young woman when I had my weekend show. That is the kind of two men that we're talking about here. One of them ended up dead in a prison cell, that was controlled by the man whose father gave him his first job as a math teacher. The other ended up being president of the United States. These two besties who God only knows if they had the same proclivities, but they were definitely friends at a time when one of them was a super predator against young girls. I think the best witness and the closing witness on this show tonight is going to be a young woman named Eloise, who schooled mean old Megan, schooled Megyn Kelly about what it means to be a child. Here she is. Last word to her.
Hey, Megyn Kelly. I'm Eloise and I'm 14 years old. I wasn't even going to say anything because the topic is an adult one. My mom even made a video about it yesterday because we didn't feel it was an appropriate topic for a child to speak about. But after hearing you go on camera and explain that Epstein wasn't into 8-year-olds, just the barely legal type like 15, I realized you might need an actual reality check from a literal child. So let me help you out. Megyn, people in my grade are turning 15 right now. Some of us still have baby faces. Some of us still have braces. Some of us still call our parents when we're scared at night. Some of us still look like middle schoolers because we basically are. And the fact that a grown woman needs a teenager to explain that is honestly terrifying. Here's the part you seem confused about. Under federal law, anyone under 18 is a child. No asterisk. No, but they hit puberty. No, older kids don't count. Anyone under 18 is a child. You said you were just giving facts, but here's the real fact. What you said wasn't factual. It was minimizing. It was making abuse sound like a technicality. And Megyn, here's the part you really need to hear. If a 14-year-old has to get on the internet and explain to a grown adult with national platform that children are children and there's no age where abuse suddenly becomes less bad, then the problem isn't confusion, it's corruption. Because kids my age aren't supposed to be the ones correcting you. We're not supposed to be the moral compass in a room full of adults who should have known better. But here we are. If my voice makes you uncomfortable, good, it should. Because the minute adults start defending predators by debating the age of a child, you're not protecting the truth. You're protecting the predator. And you shouldn't need a freshman to tell you that.
Preach, little one, preach. Eloise gets the last word on tonight. Thank you all for tuning in, and wish you all safety, peace, love, and hopefully some measure of justice in this world, particularly for the victims. And God bless little Eloise. We love a wise child. And yes, Megyn, a child. Thank you all for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. Please hit share to make sure that everyone can get in on this independent media goodness. We appreciate y'all. Love you all so much. Thank you to everybody in the chat. And we will see you on the next The Joy Reid Show.